Hello, 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 hello. How are you, everybody? How are you? Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are switching or watching us from. Welcome. Welcome to the Learning Gaps channel, where we fill gaps in education. My name is Dr. Linda Kimensu. I am an educator, a parent, and also a child of God. I help parents and educators who have the desire to support their children and learners in achieving 21st century skills that will enable them to thrive in a highly globalized world through inculcating entrepreneurial skills, financial literacy, career guidance, life skills at a young age to ensure that our children, our learners reach their greatest and highest potential. So in this channel, I'm going to be taking you through various aspects. So I want to introduce to you a series that I'm calling Learning with Dr. Linda. Now, this series is going to take a couple of weeks, and during this series, we're just going to be learning everything we need to know about the 21st century and sort of preparing ourselves as to how we can nurture our children, how we can inculcate the values, the attitudes, the skills that our children need to acquire in the 21st century. Could be you have heard this term 21st century before, and maybe it sounds like one of those cliches or one of those big words that people talk about. No, 21st century is a period, it's a time that we are living in. And the word, the terminology of the 21st century is between January 1st, 2001 to December 21st, 2100. So we are going to be in the 21st century for a long time. Before 2000, we were in the 20th century, and there's what characterized the era, the 20th century era. But now we are in the 21st century, and there are those things that have marked our century today. We have a rise in the global economy. I'm sure you're watching me from various corners of the globe. We have digitalization, where most of the things that we do are pretty much automated. And more so, we are living within what we call a global village. Now, with all this information, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to me as a parent? What does that mean to me as an educator? What does that mean to our children? And what does that mean to our learners? Now, when we think about the 21st century learner, we are actually talking about our children. Children born from even 2010 going forward, 2009, even children born in 1980, we're talking about the millennium babies. We're talking about Generation X, Generation Y, and now we have even Generation Z. Now, these are people that have been referred to as the digital natives. And being digital natives is that they have grown up in the digital age. Most of them have grown up close to mobile phones, internet, video games, social media, and they are very keen on new technologies. These people also, these children also have access to large quantity of information, unlike what we had growing up. So when we think about how we relate with these people, with these children, with these learners, we can't just have it business as usual. We have to adapt our way of teaching both at home and in school to align to the aspects of the 21st century. Now, when you think about the 21st century skills, then this is the skills, the abilities, the learning dispositions that our children and learners need to acquire for them to survive and actually thrive in the 21st century. And maybe in your mind, you're asking yourself, so what are these 21st century skills? There are many. Of course, there are so many, but they have been divided or been classified into four main skills. And today, I want us to talk about the four skills required to be learned by our 21st century learners. Now, the first skill is critical thinking. Now, I think you have heard this term being thrown around, people telling you, think critically. You know, are you a critical thinker? And sometimes we have even bashed our kids, our students, and we've actually told them they're not critical thinkers. But have you ever thought about what it entails to be a critical thinker? Critical thinking is the ability to solve problems. It is the ability to think outside the box. Um, we are encouraged to think outside the box. We are encouraged to think, to be, to have no boundaries, especially when it comes to our thoughts. Now, with the 21st century, there have been so many problems. Most of them have been unprecedented. Things to do with global warming, increased unemployment, increased inequality, aging populations, increased lifestyle diseases. All these things require a mindset of problem solving and critical thinking. How much of that are we inculcating in our young children? How much of the problem solving are you inculcating in your child, in your learner? Are you spoon feeding them? You know, we've been always told stop spoon feeding our children. Are you spoon feeding them? Are you solving problems for them? Or are you allowing them to solve problems? And some of these things can be as little as how they dress. Say, for example, you have a preschooler. Do you allow them to learn how to dress by themselves? And by doing that, they are learning a problem solving skill. Do you allow your middle school child to mess in the kitchen, you know, trying to boil that egg, trying to fry that egg, to actually see whether they are building on those problem solving skills? By doing that, you are building critical thinkers. You're building the critical thinking skill in your child. The second very important C in 21st century learning is what we call communication. Communication is as old as humanity. However, communication is the sharing of thoughts, questions, ideas, and solutions. Most of us know it's not a secret. We have our children being on social media. Most of our children are even on WhatsApp. Our children learn to communicate, to use the phone as early as 2 years of age. So we are in the social media age, we're in the digitalization, we are in the era of globalization. And all this enables us to share knowledge, thoughts, and ideas with people all over the world. And that is not going to change anytime soon. So it's very important that you teach our children, our learners, how to communicate. Have you taught our children how to communicate with their peers, how to communicate with the adults, how to communicate using the different channels we have, how to communicate written communication, verbal communication, non-verbal communication? Have we taught them how to introduce themselves? Have we taught them how to share their ideas and their thoughts? In a school setup, have we taught them how to do public speaking? I remember growing up, our parents were really big at us singing in the church. We thought it was punishment, you know, being put out there, you know, to sing. And sometimes we really feel we don't have the right voices, the right voice codes. And really it was putting us into the spot. But what that did to us is that it helped us become better communicators. So how can we enhance the communication skill in our children? The third and very important C is collaboration. Collaboration, from the word collaborate. Collaborate is come together, bring our synergies together. This is where we say 1 plus 1 is no longer 2. 1 plus 1 is 3. Or better still, 1 plus 1 is 11. I remember my daughter looking at the clock and seeing 11 and saying, this is 1 and another 1. And I was thinking, wow, brilliant. 1 plus 1 is 11. Now, in collaboration, this is bringing synergy. We are moving away from competition. We are moving away from people competing, undercutting each other, and seeing more, how do we collaborate together to solve the problems we are facing as humanity? We've realized our greatest enemies is not our competitor, is not the person next to us. The greatest enemy is the problems we have. It's the global warming, it's the poverty levels, it's the unemployment, it is the lifestyle diseases. It's all these things that are the ones that are our problems. So how are we encouraging our learners to come together and collaborate in solving those problems? And you can do this at home by encouraging sleepovers, especially, but you have to be very careful as to the families in which you're interacting with. By whenever kids are in your home, give them tasks, give them projects to work on together. Right now, we're in the digital space where they can even do collaborative projects online, etc. So encourage our children, let's encourage our children to be collaborative. And finally, the fourth C is creativity. Creativity, creative arts. Now, we are in the age where if anything can be routinized, if anything can be automated, if anything is sequential, if anything is manual, the robots are taking it up. So the only thing that robots can't copy from humans, you guessed right, it's creativity. And people say that we are all born geniuses until we get to age 5. Probably might be wondering, what happens when people get to age 5? One thing is, in most education systems, we start our schooling system at age 4. So could it be that our schooling sometimes kills creativity? There's a lot of debate towards that. But what we need to do as educators is to ensure that we don't kill creativity. And one way in which it kills creativity is when we spoon feed our learners, when we give them all the information they need without allowing them to actually explore for themselves. So anytime you really feel the need and the urge to give that answer to your child, give them a chance to explore. Give them a chance to imagine. Imagination is one of the greatest intelligences that we have in the 21st century. Let them get outside. Let them be amazed by the wonders in the world. Let them have a sense of wonder. Let us not kill the creativity in our children. And more so, let us not also kill our own creativity. Let us ensure that we are always trying to get our creative juices out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the four C's of the 21st century: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity. I want you to be thinking through the week and every day to see, how do I encourage these 4 C's in my child? How do I encourage these 4 C's in my learner? So in the next series of Learning with Dr. Linda, we're going to be learning how to develop those skills in our learners. We're going to understand, how does the CBC, the competency-based curriculum, or what is called the competency-based education in most other countries that has been adopted world over, how does it relate with the 21st century learning? And then finally, we are also going to be looking at, how does 21st century learning relate with entrepreneurial education, and how do we inculcate entrepreneurship, financial literacy, career guidance, and life skills among our learners. Until then, cheers, and remember to subscribe to Learning Gaps channel where we fill gaps in education. All right, thank you so much, and have a blessed time. Goodbye.